And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have a very special guest. I actually had the privilege to be able to review her film. It is called Bertie the Brilliant, and it's just a brilliant film, to be honest with you. I ended up enjoying it so much. The Western Wonder was here with me reviewing this film. But yeah, her name is Gabriela Garcia Medina, and I cannot wait go on ahead and just dive into this. I really enjoy this film. It's a very sweet film. It's only a 25-minute short film, but you get so much meat, so much stuff to dissect from. So let's go on ahead. Let's do this. And hey, Gabriella, how are you?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be able to do this with you. It's a pleasure for you to be on here. I really enjoyed your film, of course. I was also very moved by how much you loved the review that we've done.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because you emailed me to interview me, but I had we crossed paths because I'd seen your review and I was so moved by it. I watched it with my husband and we were like, "Oh my God." And I had messaged you like via Instagram to be like, "Hey, this was so cool. Thank you so much. I'm so honored." So I'm really, really happy to be here talking to you. Yeah, and I'm glad you loved Bertie. Your review, it's like, and it's what I told you on the Instagram post. It's like, so many times as a filmmaker, like I have this vision in my head of what I want people to get from my movie, but then I have to execute the movie, and you never really know if it's going to transcend into real life the way that it's in your head. And hearing everything you guys were saying about the film, I was like, yes, this landed. Yes, this landed. So yeah, I was just really, really happy from with your review.
Thank you. I'm so moved by that. And also, too, I was moved by your Instagram message as well. And to be able to know that I hit the areas that I needed to hit as well, because the color scheme for this movie is fantastic, though, with the purple and how you actually got the lighting and stuff like that for Birdie. And like I've mentioned when we were in the green room together, I actually like how in my notes you're doing exactly what you're doing exactly what my notes said. Said, this looks like a commercial for a casino. And then all of a sudden, you see the main character watching the show and looking up to Bertie, and it's actually a commercial. And I'm like, okay, so I can just mark that off because of the fact of how meta it was. But I definitely like your style, I like your direction. I like how you were doing this, and this is just fantastic.
Thank you.
And let's see, Matt asked, are you going to submit Bertie the Brilliant for Academy Award consideration, hence the Hollyshorts?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that you can only submit to the Academy Awards if you win an award at one of the Oscar qualifying festivals. So, since we did not win an award at Hollyshorts, the answer is not yet. But we were just selected at the Chicago International Children's Film Festival, which is also Oscar qualifying. We just found out like 2 days ago. So there's still, a possibility for Bertie to be in the running for an Academy Award. However, with that said, I don't need to win an Academy Award to know that our film is really good. Just hearing reviews like you guys' reviews, being in a room when my film is playing and hearing the audience respond, that is absolutely enough for me. So yeah.
You see, I think that's actually a right way to go about it, though, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that you don't need an award to show an appreciation, just as long as you have people that understand what you're going for. And it's actually hard when you're writing something down in the script and the writing and the direction. It's like, do I really have something special here? I'm hoping that people will actually grasp it. I hope that people get it. And what if they don't? And that's actually the stakes that you actually take whenever you're doing something, because you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know the people that it's going to end up transcending over or anything like that either.
Yeah.
So when you hear something like us doing this review and then you see it and it's like, okay, this is what I'm after. This is what I'm after because this is the goal that I want. My goal is not having a trophy for recognition. It's the fact that I'm actually capturing the audience that I need to capture.
The irony is that I think that's how you end up winning awards is when from the beginning, from the process, from the development phase. If you're thinking, oh, I really want this to move people. Oh, I really want this to have this effect on my audience. Oh, I really want the colors to feel like this because I love this process. And like, if you're thinking about those things, then I think the irony is that you make work that resonates and therefore ends up, you know, getting awards. But I've never gone into anything thinking, ooh, am I going to get this award for this? It doesn't matter really. And then you don't make, the work isn't as good because your intention behind it isn't as heartfelt and as grounded and as real and as genuine.
Exactly. And that's also how I feel about doing the podcast, for example, too. Like when we get something that's big, I'm not going after something big. I'm actually going I have like a medium where basically, okay, if I get something big, I'm very moved by it. You know what I mean? And I'm more heartfelt by it versus going after something big. So that's actually, I think, how you actually see it, though, too, is I'm not going to go on ahead and go after something that's bigger than what I'm going for. If I get there, I get there. If not, I'm not. But
I mean, yeah, I want to succeed, and I want my films to be loved, and I want them to do well, and I want them to be seen by so many different audiences. But the humanity of the reward is greater for me than a material reward or a reward.
Same.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, because it humbles ourselves to be able to appreciate things whenever they come versus it being something bigger and knowing that you're expecting something. I'd rather humble myself before I actually go after something bigger. That's just how I am. But, you know, the thing that I really have to say, and Matt actually told me about this, was the part where they're trying to sneak into the casino, the main characters, and you guys, and then of course you have President Biden that's actually in town. Therefore, you guys had to try and figure out a way to work around the traffic and stuff like that. And I didn't even feel like anything was slowed down during that process and stuff like that too, because how fantastic the editing was. And I just like how you have the grandmother sneaking back into the hotel that she used to work for, and having a friend there to try and see her grandson's idol being over there. I think that those shots were fantastic. I also like the music in this thing, especially with the montage of the best friend calling up everybody, all the contacts, and trying to get this thing together. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, so I made the movie in collaboration with 150 Warner Media and Latino Public Broadcasting, and we had support from Film Independent. We have fiscal sponsorship from them. We also had free camera from the camera division. I bring that up because thanks to 150, I was given access to their music library. So I had this entire access to the Warner music library. And I really, in my last two shorts, I had licensed songs. But in this short, there was just too expensive. And I don't know how much you know about like licensing music, but
it costs about $15,000 to $20,000. Right.
And then if you go to get distribution, then you have to license it again. And you're like tracking down the master rights and the sync rights. And I did that all myself because I didn't have a music person. So for Bertie, I was like, well, you know, if I have access to this Warner Media music library, I'm going to find songs that sound like the songs that I would, you know, license, and I'm just going to write the music. And so that's what I ended up doing. I pitched to, like, because you can pitch to the Warner Media music library. You can say, hey, can you send me songs that sound like this? And I wanted like this Rafaela Carrà, like 1970s Italian pop. Like there's this like ingenuity and this like innocence to that kind of music from that time period. And so what I got back was this, you know, this huge library of potentials. And then the ones you heard was the ones that I felt mostly resonated to this tone and this style. So that's really how the music came to be.
See, I think that's actually good that you picked out something that's the innocence, because it's also going within the innocence of the child and how she would actually look at certain things. So I think that I actually like that whole entire popish kind of sound to it, especially when you have Bertie on the stage, and then you also have her doing the whole entire magic trick, and also to having the grandchild watch it. I like that whole entire dynamic because it shows the innocence of the child, and it's not, and the music is a character of its own self.
Good.
So you did a fantastic job at picking it out. And of course, you know, but yeah, Bertie is a he. Okay. But you know, what I'm trying to say is this though. I think that you capture the essence of the innocence and the music as a character, you know. So
Glad you
I
feel
think
that
that's
way.
fantastic. You know. And I just think it's just a beautifully well executed whenever it comes down to that. And yeah, music can be expensive because I know between $15,000 to $20,000, depending on
Oh yeah.
what you want. Because, for instance, with the Sopranos and stuff like that, I know that David Chase had to go through at least $15,000 to $20,000 worth of music for him to try and choose for each scene. So it can be costly if you
Oh yeah.
try and pick something out that's a little bit more within your budget. But I also want to mention this though. Okay, the thing that usually whenever something sticks out for me, and it's actually the musical number, it turns into like a stage play. And normally it would take me out of the movie or whatever, but for me, it enhances the imagination of the grandchild. So
Oh good.
therefore, it didn't take me out of it, and I totally get it. And I thought it was just funny about how all of a sudden it turns into like a musical number, and the stage doesn't even feel like a big stage anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you changed the frame to where it's
I
more like
did.
smaller in scale, and
Yeah,
I
I
thought
heard
I
you say
liked
that in
that.
the review, and I'm like, yes, he picked up on that too.
But what was
Yeah.
the idea for that? That's something that I
So
was curious.
because so you're so yeah, so it's the funny that you pick up on that. So when he's watching the commercial, it's the TV frame. So when he's having his imagination come to life, it's in the way he watched the commercial, which is in the TV frame. And that's why the screen shrinks for that moment.
I think that's actually fantastic to do something like that because I've never seen someone use the camera the way you use the camera to tell the story within the child himself. So I thought that was perfectly well. And also, too, I like the whole entire grandmother and grandson dynamic. I thought that was really cool because nowadays everybody's like, oh, I want it now. I want it here. I want it now. Well, you have to work for it. Nothing's given to you. And I like those things. So my question is this. So were you brought up in an era where it's like, okay, well, if you want something, you got to work for it because nothing's
Oh yeah.
given to you. And I was brought up in the same way. And I thought, and I picked up on that instantly where I was like, okay, well, the grandchild is now doesn't have that much money to actually get the ticket that he wants. So he has to go out there and figure out a way. So you have to make money, spend money to make money. So now he's learning the value of working and not only working, but spending money to actually make something out of nothing. So
Yeah.
I like
He's
that.
learning the value of a dollar.
Exactly.
Absolutely. About the dynamic, though, there was a couple things I wanted to say. Yes, I grew up in a working class immigrant family that hustled just to make ends meet. But they showed me the value of hard work. I always had to like figure things out. I was selling like lemonade on the street corners. I remember my aunt would buy like these big bags of candy, and then I would separate them into little bags, and then I would sell them at the bus terminal to make some money. So there's a lot of that sort of childlike entrepreneurship in Bertie that I wanted to explore for sure. But also in terms of the dynamic between grandma and grandson, something that was really important to me was to show this young boy, this young Latino man of color, young boy of color, who is interested in this drag queen performer, but it's not, grandma never like talks about it like, hey, it's okay to like this thing, or like, hey, drag queens and drag kings, like there's no, like, it's just normalized. And I really wanted to have this very normalized experience with this beautiful magical being, and so that's another element of the dynamic between them that I wanted to make sure was there.
See, that's something else that I noticed with the film. It's like normalization whenever you have the magician on the screen and he's over there doing the magic tricks and stuff like that. And it's not in the person's in drag. It's never explained. It's just like, okay, so this is what my grandson's into. This is what he's into. I'm not
Exactly.
gonna be harsh with him on it or anything like that because he's at a young age where he doesn't understand it or anything like that. So I'm just gonna let him be and let him enjoy something and not take away his joy from something. And that's what
Yeah.
I got.
And I really didn't want people watching it to feel like I had this agenda of, ooh, watch this movie about accepting, the drag community. Like, you accept it by just putting it out there and letting it be and making it beautiful. You don't have to like, oh, look at this, right? And so that's something that's really important in my work too. Like, I want to talk about class. I want to talk about, gender identity. I want to talk about being Latino. I want to talk about the American dream, but I don't want to hit you over the head with it. Like, look at, I have this agenda. I just want to show you something, make you laugh, and hopefully you'll just see this thing be normalized. So that's really something that's very important to me as a creator.
Exactly, and that's how I saw the film, though, to be honest with you, because I didn't feel like you were trying to make a statement. You were just letting the film be the film and letting us figure things out on our own. And I think, and also too, that also goes with the grandson too. He tries to let him figure things out on his own, just as we're trying to figure things out as well with this movie, without having to make a political statement, without having to try and be something. And you did a fantastic job at showing that. And it's very simplistic and everything too. I really loved how simple it was.
The fact that it exists.
Exactly. And, there's also another thing I liked was you got to see the Latino community within this film, though, too. And I also like how the grandmother's receptive to other people and everything, too, especially when you get into this one part where she's sewing stuff for other people and she's receptive of other people and their beliefs, and not only their beliefs, but who they're with as well. So I definitely like that whole entire dynamic where you have the boyfriend's knock on the door and, oh, okay, well, she sewed something for them. She just goes on ahead and makes the money and they go about their business or whatever, and that's it. And I like that because of the fact that it's showing the mothers, like, I'm accepted of you, of who you are, just as you're supposed to be accepted of me as I'm trying to do something nice for you. And that's something that I got from that as well.
Yeah, I mean, grandma's the hustler too. Like, you can't survive on a working class job and raise a kid, and you need a hustle. Like, we're constantly having to hustle to make ends meet and to survive in America, because America's not built for everyone, the same.
No,
so a lot of my characters are hustling and figuring it out.
That's a fantastic thing. And matter of fact, Matt ended up asking, will there be a continuation of Bertie the Brilliant, a part 2?
Probably not. I think Bertie is whole and complete, and it exists as it is. And I love that it exists, and I love how it's being received. I don't feel like I need to, I think it's a complete whole story. And I don't really have, I haven't really thought about where it could go or a part 2. I have so many other projects that I want to create, and so many other worlds that I want to build, and so many other stories, that I feel like Bertie is whole and complete, and is currently living its festival life and living its distribution life. So I'm really just happy with where Bertie is.
I can definitely see it as a one-off, to be honest with you, because I think that everything ties in beautifully well together and we're perfectly well crafted. But my other thing is too, do you have other things that you're working on right now that's currently in production, to where it's like, I have this going on the festival, it's getting good vibes, but I want to work on something else? Is there another passion project that
Yeah, so I have a lot of projects, honestly, just waiting to get going. A couple of things: the SAG strike, the WGA strike have made it really difficult. But I'm so happy that the strike is happening. The situation is what's difficult, not this, not WGA or SAG by any means. And I benefit from this deal, that SAG and WGA want. So I'm very grateful for the strike to be happening. But what's happened is a lot of my projects have had to be put on hold in support of everything that's going on. So yeah, I have all these feature films that I want to sell and that I want to make, but I'm just sort of holding them to my heart right now, and taking this as a time to really look at my writing and know that there's no rush to get it to any producer, so I can really sort of relish in the story and the characters. So really that's what I've been working on, for the last few months. But I do have a couple of short films that I would love to get made. I'm waiting to hear back from Latino Public Broadcasting to see if we're going to collaborate again on a couple of other movies that I pitched to them. I should find out hopefully by the end of this month, early October. I'm very hopeful because we had such a good sort of relationship with Bertie that I feel like, okay, we're probably going to keep working together. But yeah, and speaking of Latino public broadcasting, it's really, really important to mention just how amazing this organization is. If you haven't heard of them, you should definitely look them up. It's latinopublicbroadcasting.org. They basically finance Latino stories, Latino documentaries, there's like an ambulance going on outside. But yeah, so what they're doing is so crucial. And one of the organizers from Latino Public Broadcasting was telling me that the House is voting to take away public funding from them. So stories like Bertie, for example, wouldn't be able to be told without the support of organizations like Latino Public Broadcasting, because studios are not throwing money at me to make my movies. They don't care about my stories, but organizations like Latino Public Broadcasting and 150, they do. And so for that reason, it's just, I really want to just say how grateful I am to them and bring everyone's attention to that organization, latinopublicbroadcasting.org. If you are a Latino filmmaker, if you're a supporter of Latino art and film and culture, definitely check out their website and try to support them in whatever way you can.
Most definitely, because you want to actually have the best people that represents who you are culturally and also who you and stuff like that too. And I think that you need to have that in this town. You know what I mean? And doing filming and stuff. And I think that that's actually the right way to go about it. Is you need to actually have the Latino community standing by you and by your side with this.
Absolutely.
And I think that I think it's a brilliant thing to have with networking and things like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go on ahead and pick you up again to network with you, because Bertie is such a great pleasure to be able to review and to be able to and also to watch. It's a brilliant film. I definitely enjoyed it. Then also too with this SAG strike and stuff like that, like you mentioned, it does give you a chance to sharpen your skills as a writer and director and figure out where you want to go next and sharpen some edges, if you will, with some of the character building that you want to do. So it is good to have the strike, but it's also sad to have the strike though too, because of the fact that I think that you need to have equal pay for everybody, not just for certain individuals or anything like that. So I'm standing right behind them as well with this. And I was like, well, I wish they would actually just go ahead and pay what they need to pay. I said, yeah, I wish they would too, because as viewers, we need something new to watch. And if you don't have anything because of the strike, it's on the production companies. It's on everybody else. That's why I told them, I said, well, you need to watch indie projects, because indie projects is the best thing going right now if you're looking for something. I said, you need to watch Bertie the Brilliant, to be honest with you. And they're like, well, what's that? I was like, so I end up explaining this. I actually have water cooler conversations with my coworkers about movies, because they know that I actually do a podcast, a YouTube channel. Like, well, what are you watching? I said, well, I watched Bertie the Brilliant. That was a good short film. I watched a couple of other short films within the Hollyshorts Film Festival. And I also put links to each review so you guys can go ahead and watch it if you guys choose to watch it. I said that way it gives you something new and fresh while the strike is happening, because we don't know how long this is going to take. We as viewers are actually having a hard impact on it as well. But here's the thing. You guys are having a 10 times harder outlook on it, though, too, because this is your bread and butter. This is what you want. And so, therefore, you want the equal pay. You want the equal rights. And you guys deserve to have that and everything, too, because of the fact that you need to have, like, for instance, for something with a bigger budget, you need to have a studio or something backing you. Otherwise, it's not going to end up doing well. And I think also, too, this AI stuff is very dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
As well. And I'm the type of person that's like, yeah, I like AI in a certain aspect, but at the same time, there's no originality behind it. There's no face to actually show who that actual person is. It's just a filter on somebody else's face, pretending to be somebody, and you're not going to pay them? No, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, going back to your film, though, another thing, too, is I also like how the grandmother is over there in the doing housekeeping. And it goes and goes, well, I have a magic trick too. And then all of a sudden it goes into this like 1950s, 60s style and her generation of how she does things. So she has her own theme song. So that's what I like. I like certain themes within this movie itself.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to show Grandma being a little bit more practical than Bertie. Bertie's still in this magical world. Grandma's more like in the hustle, like let's work shit out. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that word on here.
Yeah, you can.
But so Grandma is like, oh, you want magic? Like, check this out. This is what real magic looks like. It's really, and the unsaid words are, it's working really hard to make ends meet so we can put food on our table. But look, I do this very gracefully. So that was really the sort of the point with that little sequence right there that you're talking about.
I definitely enjoyed it. And, you know, I want to review anything else that you send in to me because of the fact that, thank you, please do, because I really do. I really enjoy your style. I really enjoy the dynamic with everything. But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to touch on as far as Bertie, with this movie and everything. And it just touches me and it sticks with you. This movie sticks. Sometimes I'm like, I'm watching a certain magic show or I'm watching a certain movie and I'm like, I just happen to just go back and just rethink about the film. I'm like, that film just has legs. It has legs and reach into the short film festivals and stuff like that. I wish you nothing but success with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So that's going to be it as far as this interview goes. But I want to have you on again and just talk to you more because I love your whole entire vibe of the hustle and stuff like that. And just grinding and doing things to improve your skills and to also give us something more.
Yeah. You said something in your interview, not this one, but the last one that I watched, about the magic and magicians and how you didn't know that much about magicians. I think that was you, right? That you were saying.
Yeah, that was me.
And something that I'm really like, I remember seeing a magician when I was 8 years old at a birthday party. And the reason why I was so attracted to magicians in this story is because I'm really attracted to the hustle and to making something out of nothing, because I feel like as a community, as a Latino community, as an immigrant community, you're constantly making things out of thin air. You know, you're like hustling, you're making lemonade out of it, right? So
Right.
The idea of the magician was also in line with this sort of hustle world and this you could literally create something out of nothing. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted it to be a magician. It could have been anything else. It could have been a drag performer. It could have been, I don't know, a show singer. But I think there was something about the magician job that also resonates with the idea of the hustle and the idea of having to figure it out and to create out of nothing, out of the little that you have.
Right, because a director can also be a magician too in their own selves though too, because you're creating something out of nothing, just as a magician's creating something out of nothing, and also doing these magic tricks and of course changing lenses can be a change with the lenses of the of stuff though too can also be a way of actually maneuvering things around like a magician does too. So yeah, I could definitely see that and everything, and you know. I think that you said that people can watch Bertie pretty soon.
That's available right now. You can go on PBS. We're on PBS. You put PBS Bertie the Brilliant and it will pop right up and anyone can watch it anytime. So my last two films, they distributed with HBO Max, which is awesome. I love HBO, like literally so many shows on HBO that I'm like, oh my God, my films are like within the world of the things that are curated for HBO. Like that's great. But what I love about PBS and the fact that Bertie is on PBS, it's that it's accessible to everyone. Like literally, and you don't have to pay for a subscription. It's for all. And I believe that art should be for everyone. So I'm really excited and I'm so honored that Bertie is on HBO. And now all your viewers have no excuse not to watch it because it's free.
Exactly. And a matter of fact, I'm actually going to have the link in the description below after this interview, and I'll edit that part into the description notes and stuff like that for everybody to click on, because I want them to have the same experience that I had watching this movie. And I don't think that art should be separated. This is also one bad thing about streaming because of the fact that I think the art is actually separated from everything else. And before you know it, you're paying a gigantic basically a gigantic cable bill. If you think about it, instead of cable, it's
Oh
just
my God,
streaming.
seriously.
Exactly.
Like
But
$15
anyway,
here and $20 there. And like, then you're like, wait, this is way more expensive than cable was. Like, cable was like 50 something or 70 at the most. And like, now you're
right.
just like,
Yep, just letting that money rain on other
Mhm.
streaming services and stuff like that. And I think that art should be as in one continuity and not should be separated
So
through
I did
other streams.
cancel, by the way, I did cancel all of my subscriptions to all the streaming services because of the strike. I'm like, well, I'm gonna
The
just
bold
not
move.
my money. So I mean,
And
also because I'm like, shoot, what do we need to cut back on our expenses? All right, well, guess what? Because you guys aren't caving, I'm gonna just not give you my money. So I have literally just canceled everything.
that's very bold of you. I like that. I like that whole entire strategy. It's like, well, you're not going to give me nothing. Guess what? You don't get nothing from me either. And I definitely like that movement. I think that everybody
But
who's
PBS though is free. Bertie the Brilliant online PBS.
exactly. So, guys, that's going to be it as far as this interview goes. Thank you so much, Gabriela. I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk about this. Thank you, Matt, for also commenting on the review that I've done and
Thanks,
reaching
Matt.
out to me. Because if it wasn't for Matt, I wouldn't have had a way to actually reach out to you other than maybe Instagram whenever you send me that lovely message. And I wish that Instagram would actually notify me when I have a message because I had to go into message request to find it. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. But it was just so moving and so powerful to hear what you thought of our review. But thank you so much. I do appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you for having me. It was such
Anytime.
a pleasure.
It was definitely a pleasure. Please come back on again. I'd like to just interview you or, just do something, maybe a top 5 show or something. I really enjoy chatting with you. But anyways, tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be back here again reviewing the new Avenged Sevenfold album. Because this is actually something I'm doing, Gabriella. It's called Intermission. So
Cool.
think of intermission as like you guys waiting in line for a ticket and you're chatting with somebody. It's like, oh, have you heard the new Avenged Sevenfold? Well, let me know. Well, how was the album? Oh, I didn't like this song, but I like this song. Or it could be top 5 comfort movies or something like that. And you're just chatting in line with somebody about comfort movies or video games or anything. So that's basically what intermission is. It's just me having a casual conversation with somebody. And that's how I'm going to be doing these intermissions, be 20 to 30 minutes long. So that's going to be 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, reviewing Avenged Sevenfold's new album, Life is But a Dream. So that's going to be it as far as the show goes. Thank you again so much. I do appreciate this. Thank you, Matt, again, for allowing me to be able to interview Gabriela. And thank you for your insight as well. And I'm glad that everybody enjoyed the review. So always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.